A new rumor claims that Dead Space 2 remake is no longer in the cards due to the Dead Space remake having lackluster sales. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. As you see, we have a brand new website. It looks so much better. Really liking what I'm seeing here. And we have this rumor, and it comes from Jeff Grubb over on his YouTube channel. Giant Bomb, I believe is what it's called. But it comes in the wake of Motive, the developer behind the Dead Space remake, announcing on April 9th that it would be working with Criterion, DICE, and Ripple Effect on Battlefield. Motive's Studios general manager, Patrick Clouse, said in a blog post, a group of developers from Motive are joining the talented teams at Criterion, DICE, and Ripple Effect to continue unlocking the full potential of Battlefield. The directors who delivered our Dead Space remake in 2023, Philippe Ducharme, executive producer, and Roman Campos Oriola, creative director, will build a team at Motive to work alongside the Battlefield studios around the world, creating what's next for Battlefield, a universe across both multiplayer and single-player experiences. He also provided an update on the company's previously announced Iron Man game, stating, in parallel, development continues to move forward on our Iron Man project, led by Olivier Prou, executive producer, and Ian Fraser, creative director. The team made excellent progress this year, hitting a major internal milestone and laying a robust foundation for the journey ahead. Iron Man is an important priority for Motive, and I'm very proud of the work we've accomplished so far. Following this report, Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb detailed on a recent live stream that Motive was developing a Dead Space 2 remake, but it has since been scrapped. This is what he says. So they were working on it. They were working on Dead Space 2, and they are no longer working on it. It is on the shelf because the first game had lackluster sales, is how it was phrased to me. So if you are looking forward to a Dead Space 2, it's bad news. It's straight up is just bad news. Does this mean it never happens? I don't know if that's the case, but as it stands right now, they were working on it. It was in the concepting phase. I believe it was definitely in pre-production. And now that work has been put on the shelf and they are done with it. And this studio is now making Iron Man and Battlefield. Maybe it sold enough to justify what they did with the first one, but they were expecting big enough sales to be like, all right, and this will power us through remaking a bunch of Dead Space games and making a bunch of new Dead Space games. And maybe the numbers just weren't there. So it's unclear how well the game did sales-wise. However, the game was the second most sold game in January 2023 when it released, at least according to NPD's sales charts. The only game that beat it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Games Industry also reported the remake was the most sold game in the United Kingdom when it launched, but it, quote, sold less than half of what the Callisto Protocol managed in its first week just the previous month in December. However, as Games Industry's Christopher Dring notes, Callisto Protocol was released in December and was available on more platforms. The idea of being in December, obviously people are doing Christmas shopping and things like that, so people are probably making more purchases than they might have done in January. Callisto Protocol obviously benefiting from that time of year when it was released. I'm also really surprised that more games don't release kind of in that like October, November, December timeframe. Usually you see a lot, but I feel like they've been switching out of that. It's kind of just bizarre to me why they don't, why there isn't more of a dump in those months because of the Christmas shopping. It's kind of surprising that more studios don't take advantage of that. Nevertheless, it also had a lower average price to the Callisto Protocol did compared to Dead Space, which obviously could have prevented sales. So if you look at the Steam charts, the game did have an all-time peak concurrent number of players of 30,925 in the first week of release. However, it quickly dropped off a little over a year since the game release, and the 24-hour peak concurrent sits at 572 players. So I'm guessing that it did not have long tail sales for this game. And that's obviously why they are now shifting their team towards other productions and developments. Motive's Dead Space remake was trashed by YouTuber Synthetic Man for being woke. While he praised some of the improvements to the gameplay and the maps, he also said, I really think they effed up a lot of the horror elements here. Part of that was the necromorph designs look less human, which really takes away that uncanny valley factor. A lot of the animations look jank and cheap. I mean, when a game from 2008 has more fluid animation than a modern AAA release, you know something's messed up. He also criticized the game's sound effects too, especially for some of the guns and things like that. But as for the game's wokeness, he said, one, the Hellion crew has been diversified. notably one now being a black woman. Now, ultimately, it doesn't really matter considering she dies in the first 30 minutes, but for some reason, the devs thought that was a good change. The most notable one, the one you've likely seen, is the all-gender bathroom, not unisex bathroom, the all-gender bathroom. Of course, I can't forget the obvious one that Nicole looks 50 now, probably twice the age she was intended to be in the original. And yes, I know they modeled her after the voice actress, much like how Isaac Clarke now looks like Gunnar Wright, who vaguely looks like Adam Sandler, but that's just laziness. I hate this trend of modeling video game characters after the actor because they just want to take the cheap route with this motion capture technology. This is not what these characters are supposed to look like. This is distracting. So obviously, you could say that the Dead Space 2 remake, or even the Dead Space remake, is get woke, go broke. We are seeing that Motive is having to, or at least it's reported that they are reshuffling their development priorities. Dead Space 2 remake is no longer on the table, and that it is those resources are now being aimed towards their Iron Man game and Battlefield games. So let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know what you make of the Dead Space 2 remake being scrapped due to lackluster sales after it was being criticized for being woke. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.